Okay, another question in exercise 15.5. We're going to look at number 17. Here we have to complete a sinking fund schedule. So we're in 17, we're given some information. So the first step again is always to calculate what's the payment amount. Again here they've done it with a formula. You can use your calculator. So end of term amount of sinking fund, 800,000, that would be your future value. Term is 3 years, but we know they're always semi-annual, so 2 times 3 would be 6, so we know N is 6. The sinking fund rate of return is 7, so I/Y would be 7. Payment and compounding interval 6 months, so PY and CY would both be equal to 2. It's end period, and present value would be 0. And then we calculate our payment and we'd get 122,135. Then we go ahead and we do our schedule. So we know there's 6 payments. We know all the payments are 122,135. So then we have to do interest earned, increase in the fund, and then the balance. So you start off with 0. At the end of period 1, we make a payment. Interest, well, this payment was made at the end of the period, so there is no interest earned during that period, so the increase is the total of these two columns, but there's no interest, so it's just the payment. So at the end of that first interval, the balance is 122,135. Then in interval number 2, we make another payment, but that payment is not made until the end of the period. So the interest earned in that period is only on the balance that was in there before. So it's the 122,135. So it's 7%, but it's semi-annual, so it works out to 7 divided by 2, which is 0.035. So if you take this amount at the end of the period times 0.035, you get 42.75. The increase then is the interest that was earned during the period and the payment that was made at the end of the period, which was 126,410. You add that to the previous balance to get your new balance, and then you continue on. The next period, there was another payment. The interest is only earned on the balance from the previous period because this payment wasn't made till the end of the period, so there was no interest on it. So it's the 248,545 times 3.5%, which gives you 8,699. You add the two of them together to get the increase in the fund during the period, and you continue on. I didn't put in an example there where there was beginning of term payments. The only difference would be is when you calculate this payment amount, you make sure you have your calculator set on beginning mode. And then the difference in the schedule here, if the payments had been made at the beginning, is here we don't calculate interest on that payment in that interval because the payment was made at the very end of the interval, so there would have been no interest. If it was beginning, we would have taken the balance from the period before plus the payment, because if the payment was made at the beginning of the interval, then we would have earned interest on it during that period. So that's the only difference. Calculate the payment using beginning mode and include the payment when you're working at your interest for that period.